Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. A little bit different camera angle today because we're working very close on the bench. I want to show you, I'm doing some repairs on a Fernandez from the 80s. It's an older instrument. The inlays, many of them are coming loose and a couple of them have actually popped out. So we're trying to repair them the best we can. Let's get to work and I'll show you what we're doing. So here's our patient. Okay, you can tell there's two of them that are missing right here. I have them here and I'm keeping them separate. We're probably not going to do those today. I want to show repairing loose ones. These would have been easier, but one of them literally, when you turn the guitar upside down, would fall out. And this one, this one, it took a little bit of prying, but it was so loose that I did not want to do the procedure that I'm going to show you on this guy right here. I have already repaired this one, okay, off camera before we started today. This is not an uncommon thing. Yeah, it's not a Gibson Les Paul. It's a Fernandez. These are actually well-made instruments, and there's, a lot of people like them. My client came to me with this, and he said, hey, some of them feel really rough, and they catch my finger. And okay, well, here's the crux of it. This one I just fixed. That's what it's supposed to sound like. Hear the difference? Especially on this side, right, facing towards me, is the one that's really given us trouble. Right here. You hear the difference? Now, I'm going to try to illustrate this. I have it took me a little while to find the exact piece of wood. Call it a call, but I have to be prepared, and I've already kind of figured out how I'm going to fix this, glue it, and then I have to have a call because a clamp won't go right down like, a wide clamp would fit in between the frets. So you have to be able to clamp it. The other problem with this particular one, which I did not have for this one, I wish I showed you this one because, well, when we get down to here, the heel starts to dramatically dip off. But I did test fit a call, and that's what this little red guy is. It's just a piece of wood, and I save every little piece of wood and things that I've cut. This started out as a thumb stop on a base, but I can't throw anything away. When they're like that, you can try to pull them out. I don't recommend that. If you absolutely don't have to do it, don't do it. These were already this one was falling out by itself. This one was about 3/4 of the way out. It was so loose that it just took a little bit of picking at with a nice, sharp, brand new blade. And once I got it up, it just went and popped right out. I could tell by the same tapping procedure that it was so loose. In fact, the two that he's not worried about or concerned about at all, those are loose too. But that's for another time. Eventually, they'll get to the point where they're going to need the same procedure that I'm going to show you on this one. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take a little bit of beeswax, wood beeswax polish. Why do we do that? Well, because we're going to be using really, really heavy duty industrial strength CA glue. And I want to avoid getting any on the board, or I want to try to mitigate any of it getting on the board as much as possible. And the way we do that, now let me make sure I'm on the right end. I'm only going to do one end at a time. I'm going to show you guys. See, this side sounds fine in the middle until you get to the edge. But this is the really bad one, and I can actually see it from here moving up and down. And if we push it all the way down in there, it finds seat and home. Is it perfect? No, but the thing is 40 years old. I'm not looking for exact perfection here, but so we take a little beeswax, a little wax, put it on the inlay, get it on the wood all around where you're going to work. Now, this is necessary. It will mitigate the glue sticking to the wood out here, but the glue that goes under, the beeswax isn't there. And any that does decide to not agree with me, I'll show you the end of the procedure. So, when you have a hollow cavity and you're using this ultra thin glue, all you have to do is coax it to wick in to the open cavity under this inlay. And how do we do that? Well, there's tools you can use, you can buy, but a good, sharp, brand new razor blade works just fine. Now, I know I'm going to try to get glue around the third of the inlay that's towards me, and I'm going to try to offer it as much glue as it will take. And hopefully this will come out on camera. So you put a little bit of glue, just a little bit of CA glue on the very edge and tip of your razor blade, and then just hold it right where you know the cavity is. And once it breaks the puddle, it will seep right down in. It just puddled up on the beeswax and pulled right underneath the inlay. And that's what you're looking for. It will find its own cavity. It's almost like solder. It's almost like solder. And sometimes you got to help it a little bit. And if any of it gets where you don't want it to be, just dab it up. Just dab it up. There's a fair amount in there, and as I press on it, I can see it bubbling up around the edges. And I think we're going to be good there. Maybe just a little bit on this other side. And just a little bit more right there. And it will, if you touch it, it will find the cavity. If it doesn't, you pull up whatever's left. And it should come right up off of the wax. That's what the wax is there for. You should pull right up off of the wax. Now comes the critical part. And this stuff dries pretty quickly, and I'm not using an accelerator on this. But what we want to do now is get our caul, which is just a piece of wood that's going to sit on the inlay, and put a clamp on it right on that side. Like so. And that's going to hold that inlay. And remember, there's a radius to the board, so that inlay has to kind of bend over and be forced to hold it down in there. What do we do now? Just look at it really, really close and make sure we're not sitting on the fret, because we want it to hold the inlay. Yep, we're good. So we pause there. I'll be back in 15 minutes. I'm going to let this kick off by air. I'm not going to hit it with accelerator. I don't want that accelerator all over stuff here. Stand by. Okay, so we're back, and you can see I pulled the clamp off, and now we take the caul off. And if everything goes to plan, because we used a little bit of, beeswax on there, nothing will stick if there's any squeeze out of that super glue, because that stuff is really, really, really harsh. And that's why we use it on this kind of thing. So all that being said, now we tap it and see, did we have a success? Remember how hollow it sounded. By the way, off camera, I did this little corner over here too. This was the side that I left you with, okay? But I off camera, I did that one as well. And that one is now in there. Are we done? Nope, not even close. Because no matter how much you try, there's going to be a little bit of edge and, point of interest. I can tell that almost all of these inlays have been worked on at some point or another, and they haven't been done right. There's squeeze out. There's even the ones that are solid, they catch. So the next part of the operation, the way that I do it, is micro mesh. We're going to, and like I said, I already did this one. It's nice and smooth and it's solid. We know this one is glued and solid now, but there's just ever so slightly a little bit of an edge there. All right, so first inspect your work and see, if we have any stuff that got, where you don't want it, like on the fretboard, on the wood. And we go right to micro mesh. Fine, ultra fine, medium, and coarse. So yeah, we start with the coarse. And I already did this operation on this one. I'm going to show you, just kind of feel, this side is perfect. This side had been fixed but never cleaned up. And that's the side we're going to really pay attention to. So what you're trying to do is just take the edge down so that it's not so abrupt of the edge of the inlay. The first one is coarse, and it is, I want to say 4,000 or 5,000. Oh no, okay, so this one's 1,500 to 1,800. And all I'm trying to do is kind of undo that, take off of that abrupt, it catches your fingernail. You don't want that. That's not going to make for a very pleasurable playing experience, right? Don't get overly aggressive, and don't worry about it discoloring, because yeah, we're sanding a little bit of the fretboard. Don't get too concerned about that. But try to concentrate more on the edge of the inlay, mostly on the edge here. Here you're never going to feel it. It's too close to the fret. This side actually pulled up and glued very nicely. This side from the previous repair was terrible. But now we got it nice and rounded off. There's a little bit of glue. Oh, by the way, when you're using that kind of super glue, don't ever wipe it. Just dab it and let it wick up into the paper towel. If you wipe it, all you're doing is smearing it across your work surface, or in this case, a fretboard, right? This side's perfect, and it's solid now. This side needs a little bit of work. Right there on the tip. And it's probably the tip that sticks out right here, where it kind of goes like that. That's probably where a string is catching it, or a fingernail, and that's what makes it come loose. Eventually, from all of that, and probably from an improper repair many years ago, who knows. I like that. That's nice and smooth. So Went from coarse to medium. And lightly, don't start grinding at it. You don't want to cut away the fretboard. This micro mesh, all it does is really it polishes and it will take the sharp edge off. Don't get too aggressive. I'm going to keep working this side too, just to make sure it polishes up so it looks nice and even when we get done, like this one. All right. A little bit more. Move to the next one. We're moving to fine, right? Now this, you're going to start to see this light shadow on the fretboard wood, right? It's going to start disappearing because as we move up to, well, 4,000 to 6,000, it's going to start polishing the wood and the inlay. And then final, I'll show you that when we get there. We take a little bit of polish and clean it right up. And then of course when I do the, restring and setup, I'm going to oil the board, and that will be the last little bit that pulls up any light shadows left. I'm digging on that. The last one is 8,000 to 12,000. And that's really just to polish it. It's polishing the inlay and the fretboard wood, right? And of course a little bit of the edge of the fret that we're working on this particular area. Your finger tells everything. Imagine you playing that, you're not going to feel it now. And at the end of the day, what we were after was when we tap on that inlay, we want it to sound like the wood, right? That one doesn't sound like it. This one's hollow. It's empty underneath. That one too. That one right there. Hear that? That's what it's supposed to sound like. So, all right, so just to show you the last step, I use, it's just really benign guitar polish. And this stuff has a 1,001 uses, and I use it on everything. I literally use it on everything. Whenever I'm sanding or polishing or going all the way up to 12,000 and sometimes 18, 20,000. You still want to get in there. It's still just slightly lighter than the wood on either side of it. That's okay. I'm not going to lose any sleep over that, and I'll tell you why. Because the minute we do this, if my polish will come out, it's going to give me a hard time. It's gonna bring that luster right back. In fact, by the time when I do this, these two are gonna look better than everything else on either side of it. It polishes the inlay and the wood. You apply it and then wipe it off, buff it off, right? Nice. All right. Those things were as loose as they could possibly be loose. They were sticking up. Now it sounds just like the wood. It sounds just like the fretboard on either side of it. And then you get to the loose one. Sounds like paper going up and down, because there's air pocket under there, and that's the inlay banging against the pocket. All right, I have ranted enough about fixing inlays. We are not going to do these two. It's basically the same procedure. But I'm going to take a very small little pick, clean all around it, make sure that the surface is nice and clean and dry. And then, yeah, we put some super glue in there, drop the inlays in, clamp them. These are going to be easier because there's no heel to worry about like on this one here. These are going to be a little bit easier because I can use a bigger clamp, but they're much smaller inlays, and I have to literally make a small wood caul to, after I get the glue in there, a caul to press it and hold it with a clamp. And you can only do one at a time unless you're doing like one over here and one over here. All right, kids, it's Blackjack with 396 guitars. I hope this was helpful. I hope you understand a little bit more how you do this repair. If you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe, and please share. We'll talk soon.